What if today's ecological crisis is actually the end result of a user error in how we perceive reality? You see, the human brain likes to take shortcuts to save energy. The brain makes its own map of the world, updating this map every moment as information streams in through your senses, literally assembling your perception of the world right before your eyes. However, this map is lossy. There's a lot of data that doesn't make it into our conscious awareness because it gets filtered out. It's far more efficient for the brain to make predictions based on what it already knows and to project those predictions against the real-time information that's coming in each moment. The brain also creates an ongoing narrative of the world, a story about what's happening, so that we can make sense of everything and how we fit into it all. This is also where the user error creeps in, because we are sensing our projection of the world as it's assembled by the brain. There's a lot that we're missing. We tend to focus on what we've been taught is important and what is familiar to us. These familiar patterns come to the forefront of our attention, while everything else fades into the background. And that's why advertisers work so hard to try and capture your attention with novel images that break your regular pattern of perception. It takes a lot to break the spell of the familiar. The big problem here is that we start to mistake our view of the world for the world itself. We mistake the map for reality. That's when beliefs, assumptions, and attitudes take shape that then mold our expectations of how things are and should be. These filters create our social norms and they drive our behavior, and we don't even realize this is going on. What happens when a culture over-focuses on short-term gains over long-term sustainability and well-being? It optimizes people's attitudes and behaviors towards these nearsighted goals at the expense of the future generations of all life on the planet. We end up with extractive industries that decimate the very natural systems that life depends on. We destroy biodiversity and initiate human-induced climate change. We get doom scrolling. We get endless dopamine reward cycles that keep people glued to their screens as the quality of actual social interaction degrades and polarizes. We become further insulated into a system based on our own limited view of the world, and we lose further touch with the real. According to a U.S. Department of the Interior study, kids today can identify up to 1,000 corporate logos, but can only recognize a handful of common plants and animals in their area. Instead of an intimate knowledge of place, we've directed our attention to an intimate knowledge of human-made consumer products and the companies that provide them. In doing this, we've reduced the richness of the sensory data that stimulates our awareness and creativity. And as we see with AI, when poor quality data feeds back into itself, the system eventually crashes. Garbage in, garbage out. So, it's time for a reset. Our nervous system needs direct interaction with the complex, nourishing patterns of nature. We need to turn our senses back to the earth that sustains us, so that we can reciprocate and sustain the world of the real through our systems and behaviors, not just for us, but for the future generations of all life on this planet. We need to focus on what really matters, and to do that, we need to turn our attention back to the source, back to nature. We need to replace the 1,000 corporate logos that fill the ecology of our imaginations with meaningful personal connections to 1,000 local species and elements. The peace of the waters, the stillness of the trees, the scurrying of animals, the beauty of wildflowers, and the songs of the birds. What we know, we love. What we love, we care for. The simplest way to get started is to go out and find a tree and just be, and soak in the patterns of your place. Do that today, and do that tomorrow, and the day after. And notice how pretty soon you'll fall in love with the earth, and you'll start to carry that place with you wherever you go. That's the beginning of the Great Reset, and it starts with you right in your backyard.